Welcome to the 245 seminar, update on the plant activities by Mr. Kai Spande, plant manager. A couple of housekeeping things. First of all, if you could hold your questions until he's through with the presentation. We'll be out walking around with a handheld mic so that questions can be heard by everybody. And in the interest of time, decorum and what have you, I ask that 2 words not be used today. C8, mid-engine. You will get no response. Good luck if you ask. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kai, plant manager and member of the board of directors. Give it down.
Can everybody hear me okay? Is it all right? Okay, then we'll get started. Today we have a number of slides and probably even of more interest, a number of videos of things that are going on inside the plant. As all of you know, we have suspended tours into the facility, and that's gone on for a number of months right now. So the idea is that we'll have a little bit of a virtual tour of the plant. So that should be of interest. And I have to say before we get too far, there's a gal that's up in the booth up there. She won't want anybody to see her. Her name's Rachel, and she helped put this presentation together. And what I think is really cool when you see the videos, pay attention to the music, because she picked all the music, and it's all really, really cool. I think you'll all enjoy it. So not just the videos. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the plant, some of the things that we're doing from a people standpoint, and you'll see some of the processes. This includes the paint shop and all the general assembly operations. So with that, we'll get started. So what's new in the plant? I always want to start out every meeting, and we do this in General Motors. We start talking about safety, and this is a little bit of an infomercial for Andy Pilgrim. Who in the room knows who Andy Pilgrim is? Okay, who doesn't know who Andy Pilgrim is? That was an easier and a much better question. Everybody has an idea who Andy Pilgrim is. He's an ex-Corvette championship racer, won Le Mans and a number of other races. He helped put Corvette racing on the map, and he's now an employee of the NCM. And his main mission that he has been working on for years and years and years involves traffic safety and driver's education. So in these 2 pictures, you see young ones over here on the right. He has a passion to try to educate young drivers regarding the safety aspect of what they're going to be partaking in. It's a fact that almost 90% of young drivers do not have any formal training. It's all on the parents. And it's also a fact that during the course of today, 10 people will lose their lives because someone thinks that this is more important than their loved one. So from me to you, spread the news. If you see somebody using one of these when they're driving, tell them to put it down and take it very seriously. I know I do. We try to reinforce safety in all of our operations just because it's the right thing to do. AndyPilgrim.com, you can go there, and there's all kinds of materials that if you want to share it with your children, your grandchildren, etc., etc. It's a very good thing, and Andy is a proud resource to the NCM and the Motorsports Park. Okay, so a little bit, this slide almost borderlines on ridiculousness, doesn't it? Who knows what we make in the Bowling Green Assembly Plant? Well, I'm here to tell you, we make cars, and the cars, we make some pretty cool cars. And while everybody here, if they don't own one of these, they're gonna own one of them, or they wish they owned one of them, what I say is that this represents such a huge bandwidth of product portfolio that our product engineering team has delivered to the plant that we can then manufacture, from a Stingray to now the ZR1. All of these cars in their own right are awesome, and when we get new stuff like that, it does create a few headaches in our plant, But this is what we signed up for, and we're very proud that we consider the job that we do done very well. In addition to the car, we also put together engines, and you've probably all seen the statistics, but I just wanted to do a quick rundown. Here's the LT5, 755 horsepower, 715 foot-pounds of torque. Like many of those in the product team, I've had the ability to drive a ZR1 for over 5,000 miles now since January, and this car is truly awesome. It doesn't just look great, it does everything well. And we built this engine. It's almost, you know, we could almost make this a tagline in our Performance Build Center. Our life starts at 650 horsepower, which, that was old ZR1 days, right? Life starts at 200. Resurrect that, this is 755, and the irony is that when you look at the LT4 now, you think, well, you know, little brother to the big guy. But this thing is also an unbelievable beast in its own right, and very, very good package. We also then have the LT1, where when you just stop and take a look at it, 455 horsepower, and the performance that you can get in a Corvette Stingray or a Grand Sport, you put this in the right hands on the track and it'll dominate wherever it needs to go around a corner fast and go down the straightaway. So all great products. In addition to that, earlier this year, these are just a couple snapshots from an announcement that we had inside the plant. There were also a number of announcements outside of the facility, but this engine that is going to be exclusively produced in Bowling Green, it's referred to inside GM as the LTA, and this is destined for Cadillac. So while we have here a 4.2 liter, it's a little bit smaller than the typical Corvette engine. This is a twin turbo engine, and if you look at the engine, you'll notice that, well, where are the turbos? The turbos are in the valley of the V, so they're very, very compact. This means that the air is actually going in what would normally be an exhaust system and going through the engine and then out the V, referred to as a hot V. And the reason, there's a lot of people that have asked, and our leadership has formally announced that this is an engine that will be dedicated exclusively to Cadillac for a number of reasons. The reason that it's built in Bowling Green is that we specialize in this case, 500 horsepower and up. We specialize in these very niche engines. You can't afford to build an engine like this on an assembly line when you're doing single-digit units per day. So this is what we do, and it fit us, and this is one of our new products. This will go into production early next year with the current Cadillac CT6. And there'll be two versions, the normal and the V. So that's awesome. And you'll notice it does say Cadillac on top, if you haven't noticed that, for all you conspiracy theorists out there. And I know who you are, because you send me emails all the time. Okay, so we do have some good news. The good news is that we have brought the build your own engine experience back. This was on hold for a period of time, and we brought it back in time for the ZR1. And the cool thing about this is that the chief engineer, his name's Jordan Lee, for all small block engines, he came down and he did what I would refer to as like a production trial run. We had everything set. Of course, the museum helped manage that. The museum was engaged. They came over. We made sure that everything was going to be as we would want it to be as we restart this program. It went off very, very well. And Jordan was happy, and then we reopened this program. So how has Build Your Own been going inside the facility? It's been every day someone's coming to build an engine. Most of them are all for LT5s or ZR1s, but we've had a couple for the LT4s. So it's a great program. We've extended that into the summer at the very least, maybe longer. So if you're interested in that and you want to order a ZR1, you can do that. Another interesting fact, and this is completely a random act. Would anybody even dream that Mario Andretti is going to get the engine that Jordan Lee assembled. How cool is that? So it's like, when I heard that, it's like, no, you guys manage that. It's like, honest to goodness, we had nothing to do with it. We were just going to assign that engine to a car, and just out of curiosity, we checked. And so Mario Andretti has ordered a new Corvette, and he's going to get Jordan's engine, which is cool. Okay, so a little bit, we call this a sneak peek. This is when we're going to get into some videos, and this is where you can critique the audio, which I think that you're really going to love. And you can, of course, give me feedback. I look at feedback as something that's free, and I'm sure all of you have a lot of it. So, so here we go. Let's start. Before we do that, I want to just talk a little bit about the revised layout. In previous meetings, where we've shown some of the very important aspects of the change in the layout of our assembly process, we've talked about, as an example, all the panels are going on towards the very last part of the process. This is a great advantage for chips and scratches, what we refer to as paint mutilations. Putting them at the end of the process is just better. And there's a whole list of other inherent improvements in the process. And I'm going to just quickly show you what this looks like. So, yeah, the laser pointer doesn't work so good. On the far right, you'll see where it says trim. This is really the existing conveyor that we had. If you've been in the plant before, when you walk in the tour, you'll see the cars come down. They follow that blue line up to the point where it says VDL up, and then the car's raised and it's brought over to what we refer to as chassis 1. And so chassis 1 comes down, and you'll see where it says marriage. This is where the two cars come together, and then just pause there for a second, go to the bottom of the page, see where it says engine dress. This is where we take the complete assembled engines and we put the parts on it that are needed before it goes in the car. And then this comes down to chassis SA, stands for subassembly. So the chassis is completely going together, and then the car comes together through chassis 1 on this pink dotted line, up and over and back down to this kind of a fuchsia color where you see chassis 2, moves back to the center of the plant, and then back up. It crosses over the conveyor overhead, drops down to skillet 1, comes to the left, drops down, comes to the right, and then comes to another one of these VDLs, which is a fancy term for elevator or lowerator. The car comes around this dotted line, which is once again elevated to chassis 3, and then it comes to the final line. The final line is also relatively unchanged, and you'll see a couple shots of that. From there, we go to the alignment pit, we go to DVT, we go to the care line. Those processes are relatively unchanged. The only thing that's missing is up on top. This is door subassembly. This is where we're taking the painted doors and we're putting everything in the door that needs to be included. And then they come down to where it says EMS drop. EMS drop is where all the panels from the new paint shop come into the area for assembly. The doors, those panels then are routed to the skillet line for assembly, and that completes the process flow, with the exception of the paint shop, which is a whole nother situation. Okay, so here's the video regarding engine dress. Okay. So we have a little technical difficulty with the audio. Yeah, and you might think that do the operators really work that fast? And well, I would like to say yes, but it's not actually the case. This is sped up just because the line rates that we currently have. If you remember, 11.5 cars per hour is what we produce. And at that rate, we really, sometimes you have to look at the line and stop and get some other frame of reference to make sure the line's really moving. So this kind of speeds things up a little bit. Maybe I'll ask the group in the back if we need to do something Or are we just going to continue without the audio? Somebody want to sing along? Anyway, this is the engine dress, and what you will notice as you look at the video, engine is on a pallet. The pallet can rotate. The rotation of the pallet gives the operators the ability to gain access to the things that they need to interact with, and it also puts the work very close to an ergonomic window, so that the work is very much in front of the operators. And some pretty high resolution images that give you an idea. So that orange cart that's going by, this is a cart that's loaded up with all the particular equipment that is needed for that specific engine. It's just called a kit. They're made offline, and they come in with the engine. They ride with the engine, and then what you just saw was that kit being recycled. It'll be then refilled. Looks like you're going to try to fix this here. They'll be refilled, and then it comes back around. This is something that's also very synonymous with what we do on our skillet line. So the skillet line that we have a larger kit that is brought to the line, and then it is actually placed right on the skillet. So the operators that pick a part, they can then just access the part. They don't necessarily need to have those parts delivered line side. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide here. And this one, actually, I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna pause, and I'm gonna let. What we're gonna do is we're gonna see if these guys can get this fixed. You guys have it?
I'm working on it.
You're working on it? Okay. So while we're working on that, and maybe I would recommend that you guys just close it down and then close PowerPoint and reopen it. Because when you ever have any electronic problem, what do you do? Okay. Don't reboot the computer though, just the program.
So tired before the day I met you.
That's not it. No, we picked good music, but we didn't pick great music. If it wasn't great music. But what we have over here, we were kind of saving for the last, but in the idea of preserving time. Anybody want to know what's underneath this? Okay, well, I told you it was going to be the last thing, and that's what it's going to be. So you guys will all have to wait. Now, it's kind of a joke. I'm trying to buy time until these guys can get. Don't be so serious.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so that's not it either. What we have here is really pretty cool, and I would also say that we have some very key individuals from our paint department. Kim Cooper, raise your hand, who's on our launch team. Chuck Valentini. Chuck, raise your hand. Chuck's the manager of the paint shop and the body shop, and Brad Bosma. Brad is for all intents and purposes, runs the new paint shop. And what we have here is we have two panels, one that was produced in our old shop and one that was produced in our new shop. So if you haven't been able to see side by side the improvement in panel or paint quality, it's hard to do if you don't see it side by side. You're going to have a chance after we're done here to come up and we'll unveil these. We'll turn the lights up and we'll let you guys see if you can very quickly pick which one is from the new and from the old shop. And I'll tell you, if you get it wrong, you need to open your eyes because it's a drastic improvement, and we're so proud of the work that that the paint team has done. It's made the car so much better. Okay, how are we doing now? Okay, does anybody have a question while we're waiting you might want to ask? Yeah, so I will playfully engage conversations around C8, but it's going to be a waste of your time because I'm not talking about it. Yes, sir.
You were mentioning about panels. With the new kind of technology in paint, has that made it more difficult when you design the equipment to do the job that you're doing today on the car? In other words, old paint versus new paint. Has that made it a little bit harder today, or is it helpful?
Well, I'll give a shot, and then Chuck can take the rest of the afternoon because there's so much that goes to it. But I'm going to try to put it into a nutshell. The technology is available almost exclusively with what we do in our new shop. Adapting it to the materials that we're trying to paint, that's the hard part. So it's not the hardware that you need to be worried about. It's the materials, the carbon fiber, the plastic, and the SMC that makes it very, very difficult. So how you come over that is the challenge. And so it's more about what's the process required to get great finish as opposed to the hardware to go buy. Because the hardware that we buy, with some exception, anybody can buy. It's how you put it together that makes the difference. Did that almost pass, Chuck? Yeah, see, he's in agreement. What about another, is there any other question? Yep, right in the middle there.
Thanks, sir. Upon coming into the entrance of the museum today, I saw Rick Hendricks VR1. Is this VIN number 1?
Yeah, Rick Hendricks, was it the black one?
Red.
Red. Rick Hendricks, VIN number 1, he paid $925,000 for it. That's the right audio. Yeah. So we'll get back to that question later. All right, so we'll just continue to watch this. You've already seen it, but enjoy the music. And we didn't get this from Nashville either. It's much more dramatic with the music, isn't it? So you can see they will start fasteners with a regular gun, and then they come back with a torque gun to verify that everything is the way it should be. You can see the kit on the left-hand side with the parts hanging on it. And all those guns that they're pulling down are specialized torque guns. We know the torque on every fastener, on every engine, on every car that you may own. Isn't it better with the music? Yeah, it's like I was in my office and it's like, man, what's next? I was getting excited and I see this stuff every day. So the next one here we have, and this is why I really wanted to go back, because there's a couple things about what we say is old versus new, and you guys have, if you've been to the NCM before and you've heard some of the presentations that I have, you have seen the new marriage process, at least some pictures of it. Now you're going to see an audio and a video version of the old and the new side by side. And listen to the music. Come on. I got to tell this story. When I got done listening to this, I just had this smile on my face, and I said, and the video was done, and I said, well, you know, we got to make sure that the bride has a white dress on. I said, go back, I want to see the color of the car. We didn't plan it, and look, in both videos, They're white. We didn't plan that. Trust me. But here you can see also more, easier access, better access. And the car's going on this carrier up above. The chassis is riding on this AGC. So it's an electric-powered, self-propelled carrier that all the chassis is assembled on, and then it pushes it up into the vehicle for final fastening. Okay, so the audio is pretty cool, isn't it? All right, so then we have a couple videos here, or one that will show a couple things: the skillet line and vertical displacement lifts, or VDLs. VDL, or vertical displacement lifts, this is really, like I mentioned before, it's an elevator. We don't call them elevators because technically and from a regulation standpoint, an elevator by definition carries people and they need to be licensed. These don't fall into those inspection requirements. So we make up a really complicated name, and then we make a better acronym for it to further confuse anybody that doesn't work within our company. So here you go. And so the car does start its life on the skillet line going backwards, but if you remember, it goes down one direction, it indexes, and then comes back. So you can see kind of a fast-forward version of the assembly process. Panels going on, parts going on. And the upper left there, you can kind of see where it is in that skillet as it goes through. Right now it's just getting ready to enter into the transfer, where it just moves it over, crosses an aisleway, and then it'll start coming down skillet 2. In the background you'll see the body shop actually. And here we're on the other side, so now the car is actually going the way it would be on the road. And you'll notice the camera's fixed, but the car, it just went down because the car can go up and down depending on the work that's being done. And this is actually at the end of the skillet line. It's a little bit grainy here because it's actually zoomed in to show the car going now up into overhead conveyor. And now we ride along with one of the cars as it goes through those motions. I think you can get the impression that the plant, after we've went through this renovation, it really just looks unbelievably awesome. It's clean, it's so much quieter from conveyors not clicking and clacking. It's not so much louder than where we are in this room until you guys start asking questions. Okay, the next thing that we have here is cockpit assembly. This used to be, if you remember in the plant, it used to be done on an overhead conveyor. So we have cockpit assembly, and then these automated guided carts, or AGCs. We have AGVs, we have AGCs, guided vehicles and guided carts. The carts are just the littler version. So what you'll see is these little battery-powered, looks like a little drone that's riding on the ground. Again, self-propelled, battery-powered, and flexible, and they can drag the parts wherever we need them independently and with some automation. So here we go. So you can see the little tape that's on the floor. That's how it knows where to go. And then there's other little spots where we put sensors in the ground so it knows where to stop and wait for the next operation. So those are really handy. We use these for cockpit assembly. You saw the assembly line where it's pulling this cart that's actually makes a platform for the people to work from. We also use that on the door assembly, and you'll see that in one of the subsequent videos if you look close. And then once the cockpit and the doors are assembled, then these tools are also used to deliver the material to where they need to be used within the vehicle. All right, so the end of the line. Yeah, this music I think would be referred to as like swimming ballet, something, something. But this is the final turn before the car comes to the final line. GR1 just went by. You may notice they didn't have the engine cover on. That actually goes on the final line. One of the last things. Gets you energized, doesn't it? Okay, so now we get to talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on in the paint shop, and we've got a couple little videos. This is just a little fly-in that shows, that sign is actually still in the paint shop, so if you go drive around the plant while you're here, you can see that to get a frame of reference. And then as we go forward, you can take a look at this picture. Everything that you see that's really white is really new, and that's the new paint shop. And then what we refer to as the manifold building, where if I can make this happen, it's like right up there. This connecting building, we refer to it as a manifold building because it's simply not the paint shop and it's not the existing shop. It's where we connect the two. What we do inside that area where we're connecting the two buildings. If you remember in the layout, that's where we put the doors together. And we also have two distinct shipping docks. So if you follow the left edge of the paint shop up, you can see 4 or 5 semi-trailers that are backed into the building right there. They're moving the material in right there, and we reorganized all the material handling. We focused a lot on the assembly process. We revised the whole material handling also. And then in the on the right-hand side here by these water tanks, you can see another dock there. There's no vehicle, or there's no trucks or trailers in there right now in this picture, but of course there are on a daily basis. And so we use this new space for a consolidated warehousing. If you've ever been in our factory in the past, you'll notice that we're storing material here and there and there and there and there. And we've had this great opportunity to consolidate this, and that's primarily what this new space is being used for. When you take a look at the paint shop, if you would go from like my finger up and perpendicular to the building, that's the new paint shop. So it's large. And we've got some statistics here that we'll share with you right after this video.
It's a new day, it's a new life.
And this is not sped up, this is actually real time.
And I'm feeling good.
I don't think these guys have heard this before too. They're over here laughing. It's how you get really excited about paint when you watch something like this. Yeah, so we can only give you so much because you can only have so much excitement. Looking out for your health. Okay, a couple of pictures that you guys have seen in the past. This is just the robots in one of the rooms. You can see underneath the ends of the robot bells, this is where we can clean out those robot bells. And this is just an example of one of the long ovens that are used for curing. And it gives you the impression of new, clean, and very high tech. And we've got a couple more videos to show you regarding what's going on in the paint shop. In addition to this, we have a very new technology that we refer to as dry scrubber, and this is where we do not use water to capture the waste paint. We actually use a pulverized limestone that the paint is blown through this pulverized and aerated limestone. The paint is stuck to the limestone. We capture that and send it out. It doesn't need tens of thousands of gallons of water moving through a paint shop. It's much more ecologically friendly. And of course, we have put all LED lighting in the whole facility. And this is just an image from the company that manufactures these. And so far, it's been working very well for us. And this is another VDL, but it's also kind of shows how parts are moving through. These are sped up. If we showed these real time, they are going much slower. But again, you get this impression. This is a world-class, clean facility. You just look up, you look around. Here it dispels a myth. Oh, is there a double? Is there a second floor? Absolutely, there's a second floor, and we're doing all kinds of different processing. Actually, we have a third floor, and on the third floor of our operation is where we are painting the blackout or the hatches and deck lids, which previously we did also, but we had to design a new process in a new paint shop. Okay, so some really, really high-level statistics. Robots, we almost doubled. We actually use robots for sanding. So we wet sand the panels, which helps us, one of the things that helps us significantly improve the surface finish. We're not using sludge, which is a water-based system to capture the waste paint or the overspray of the paint. And then from a size standpoint, we've quadrupled it. And as we've explained before, the idea is that we simply need to slow the processes down, and when you slow things down, they get stretched, and also fixing a lot of the things that we just didn't like in the old plant. And I guess publicly, I would once again give recognition to the team, because we have a one-of-a-kind, one-in-the-world paint shop. This is not what Flint did in their new paint shop for trucks, nor is it in any other location. This is an unbelievable facility that paints the most difficult materials on the planet, and we do it great. Chuck actually shared with me very recently that we now have the best paint surface finish within General Motors, and it goes much farther than that. We just haven't had a chance to measure it and quantify it. So we're very, very, very proud of that, and if you have a second, give these guys a round of applause, because they deserve it. Okay, and then this is, you might ask, you had that carrier that has a 1 car's worth of panels on it. What happens when you have a problem with one of those panels? What do? You have to have some level of inventory. Things do happen. And this is a Cardex machine where we store all different panels, all different colors, and this is in real time. So you go and you need, in this case, a yellow deck lid. Say that you want a yellow deck lid, whoop, out comes the yellow deck lid, and business goes on. It's awesome, isn't it? See, I love it when people can get excited about, look at that. It's just an inventory control thing. But when you put the right music to it, it just makes it better. Okay, I'm a firm believer that, that nothing happens in life without engagement of people. And in the plant, every time that I stand up here, we talk about the things that our people are doing to help the business, to help themselves, and to help our community. So a little bit about that. In my opinion, we have 1,000 people. They love what they're doing, and we love the people that are helping us do that. Here's just some examples. People doing what you guys want them to do with a lot of care, and I guess you can just simply watch. Try to get a broad distribution. We have all kinds of people in the plant. And we find a way to get the work done. That's one of those kits that's being prepared for the skillet line. notice in the assembly area, the skillet lines, everybody's wearing a smock. That's specifically to help reduce any mutilation. If you have a belt, if you have a rivet, obviously these things can damage the car. We don't like that. So you'll see all the operators wearing these, what we would refer to as mutilation protection. We have our electricians helping out in predictive maintenance activities. Then once again, all the things we have to do to fit the car to make it the way you guys want it. Once again, you can see how the work is elevated right where the worker needs it to be, so you're not bending over. It's very important. You know, it's a hard job to do this. In our case now, 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. We don't work on Fridays now. We get the 40 hours done on Thursday. So today's the last working day of the week. You might wonder what they're spraying there. This is simply a soapy water. It just helps the rubber as the bezel is installed on the rear tail light. More predictive technologies, looking for hot spots and panels, trying to avoid problems. So anyway, that's a little bit about some of the people doing work, and in addition to that, you know, I had a little bit of risk of showing you these pictures. It isn't about, you know, in our plant we're doing costume parties, but we do have things that we do during break time where we give people the opportunity to have a little bit of fun. Whether we're racing these little cars, that's generating money. We actually do this here at the museum. And it's a citywide event to try to raise money. And we have over here the typical ugly Christmas sweater contest. In the bottom center, we have our Professional Managers Network arranged a golf outing to benefit Humane Society. And then here's just people, I guess, doing what they do, having some fun. And I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, I'm in this picture. I'm the dinosaur. And the Statue of Liberty there is actually Nora Roper's. That's the assistant plant manager. So we're having a little bit of fun. I was trying to like attack New York or something. I didn't win. Anyway, we have all kinds of things where we really try to make sure that everybody in the plant has a voice to make things better, to make things safer, to make things more efficient. And we also spend a lot of time in efforts to help our community. Again, more examples. Upper left, this is Real Men Wear Pink. You may be aware of this. I'm a volunteer for that, and we've been successful. This year being the winner of the contest, raising the most money in support of breast cancer and breast cancer research. And then in the lower right, everybody has a story, and in this case it's No Shave Movember, and this is in support of men's health. And then we have other activities that we have going on. So we truly try to give back to the employees and our community. So this, again, at risk of saying, you guys just playing basketball in the plant all day? No, it's Final Four season, so we took the time to have a little Final Four competition, and this was done at all of our breaks and lunches or after working hours. And the idea was simply to develop some camaraderie, and it did. So we had some fun with that. It was a good event, and there's a lot of people that are basketball fans. Every time anybody shot a basket, it cost them, well, it wasn't every basket, it was every series of 10. It cost them $1. So they had to come and pay to participate, and all that money also went to the American Cancer Society. Next that we have here, General Motors as a company, we also give back. We give back in all of our locations, specifically for Bowling Green, $75,000. We have the privilege to decide where we want the money to move to, and we like to focus on STEM-related activities, science, technology, education, math, and these are some of the people that were recipients of some of that money. And they very much appreciate that. We make a big difference for some of the local agencies that just need help. In addition to that, I put this up as a trivia question. I'm looking for people to guess. How much money do you think our employees, and this isn't the company giving a bunch of money that we give the employees credit for, do you think it's a 4, 5, or 6-figure number? It's a 6-figure number, you're right. Our employees last year, $116,000. This is money out of their pockets in donations to things like the United Way, or drawings, or gate collections, etc., etc. It's a lot of money, and this is with about 1,000 people, and we were not working for almost 3 months last year, and so that's an incredible amount of money. In addition to that, the 75 that So we're very proud of that, and I think that that it's just the right thing to do. And that's all I have from a material standpoint. A couple other points, if we could, back there, we could turn the lights up on the panels here. We also have some posters. We had a few of these last fall, and these posters are kind of cool. They have a superimposed picture of the Corvette, and then a lot of pictures of the people that work in the plant. If you would like to have one of those, you can certainly come up. They're wrapped up. I'll take one out here so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, so you got to look really, really close. We have a supersized version of this that covers the wall, but this is a mosaic of all the employees in the plant. And it's one more way to express the appreciation for the people that are doing the work. All those people make this car, and that's a fact. So if you like one of these, you can come up and get one. And then we've got the lights turned up so we can take a look at these panels after we take just a few minutes of, let's just say we'll take 5 questions. All right, so Paul, okay. I'm not going to get in the middle of this one. You pick them. And if there's a problem, it's his fault.
Just a public announcement. This is a programmable mic, and it has been set to recognize those 2 code words I gave you.
It's high tech.
And if you happen to use them while you have the mic, a 2-second fuse will be ignited.
That's good.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kai. Excellent presentation, man. It's super cool.
Thank you.
The question I have has to do with all the new technology you've contained within your plant. How have you trained your plant maintenance team to handle all that new work?
Well, we have and everybody I think could hear the question because of the microphone. That's a big concern that we had as we were getting ready to relaunch, and we had a very deliberate plan. I talked about it in one of the previous meetings where we took all the production people, we tore the plan up, but we had this visual Bizendo training where we virtually teach people the job, then we go have them put their hands on the equipment. Very similar to that for the skilled trades. We have developed programs where OEMs will come in and teach about the various technologies that we have. So we have a structured training process for them. And then what we do is we have a transition timing where we still have those OEMs on site to have the equivalent of on-the-job training. What happens when you do this? Find this way to quickly recover. And for us, it's been really successful. I'm very proud of the trades that we have, and I'm proud of the operators that we have. And I would say that just in the last few weeks, we have now been able to reach our designed production capacity in the time that we're supposed to. So in 10 hours, we're producing 116 cars. It's what we're supposed to do. Anything less, we overpaid for equipment that we're not realizing. So we're where we need to be from an efficiency standpoint, and it doesn't happen without the trades, because if you ignore it, you can decide when it's going to be maintained, or the equipment will, and we prefer the trades. You may have seen the picture of the guys, Tom, one of our electricians, doing predictive maintenance, looking at panels. I could go on and on and on about what he's found in our various operations as it relates to lugs that aren't tight, bearings that are too hot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to avoid before we get to a problem. Good question. Yep. Next one?
Yes, I was wondering how long the new paint booth has been in. I just got a new Grand Sport. It was produced about 3-4 months ago, and I was wondering if it has that.
Is it a 2019 car?
18.
And then the question would be, when was it produced? If it was produced in November or December or January, then the answer would be yes. And so if you know when it was produced, then if it was after our break, which we came back in November, every car after our break was produced in the new paint shop. And I would say one more time, it might sound like I'm gushing a little bit, but these guys, I told you guys if you had been here before, yeah, we're going to have to run both paint shops for a while, and we're going to mix things up, and it's going to be really hard, but that's what we're going to go do. And these guys knocked it out of the park. We didn't need the crutch or a backup of the old paint shop, and we just cut it off. Okay, who's next?
We've toured your plant for years, and we've always wondered why they didn't wear safety glasses, and now we see that they are. That was interesting.
Yep, safety glasses have been mandated, and I would tell you that at the risk of taking too much credit for it, it's one of the things with my background, because I have a lot of powertrain background, machining, casting, components, you name it. And walking into any factory without safety glasses is just awkward. And anyway, we got to that point it was about 1.5 years ago, and safety glasses have been mandated since January of last year, so it's been, and then it took a while for us to get there, but it's been very, very noteworthy, and I would tell you that our plant has set the standard, and now safety glasses are mandated in all assembly plants. So we're leading the pack in that regard.
If I understand,
Paul, you got?
If I understand correctly, you said your production is 116 cars a day. Is that correct?
That's correct. 116 cars a day, 4 days a week.
And in the old plant, what was the same production?
It would be easier to tell me the rate, to give you a rate of assembly, and it used to be roughly 17.5 cars per hour. Now it's 11.5 cars per hour, which is roughly 33% reduced. And it works out really good, and I might add, because this year we predict that we'll sell roughly, our production schedules right now have us running straight time, meaning a full schedule. We're going to take 2 weeks off in the summer, which is very normal for an assembly plant, and we're going to run straight. We're in the 5th year of production, so we have that risk of declining sales, and this reduction has given us the ability to simply manufacture at a level pace. It's a godsend if you're in manufacturing. You don't like turning factories on and off. It's not good.
Thank you.
Yes. Any others? We have one, Paul, that's down here. Oh, yeah, one other thing. On a note for safety, we also led the corporation. You can't wear a ring in our plant. And again, from a powertrain standpoint, trades should never have a ring on, especially electricians. Production should never wear rings for obvious reasons also, and you guys don't want anybody in an assembly plant wearing rings. Do you know why? You're going to scratch it. I mean, you might have that giant diamond, which is really, that would probably be very obvious, but simply something metal. There's a story about the guy that closes the gate on the truck every time, putting a moon-shaped thing. This is from years gone past. We don't like it because it's not safe. We don't like it because we like people to have their fingers. Thank you, Chuck. Question?
Can I take a minute to gush a little bit and talk about the employee pride factor?
Well, so the question about the employee pride factor, I would say that, and I'm going to not just have a reference point of, okay, in Bowling Green, we're the best, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That, I think, is a little bit condescending. I'll say that I have worked I've physically moved myself or my family 11 times in my career with General Motors. I've worked internationally on 2 different sides of the world and in the United States, and operation, I could count them for you. It's probably like 8 or 9 different facilities. The feeling that I have that's grounded in these experiences is that we have one of the best workforces and the best leadership teams in the Bowling Green Assembly Plant, period. And you might get me to say that if I was standing in front of you and I was representing the Flint Assembly Plant or the Spring Hill Assembly Plant or the Romulus Engine Plant or another plant. But you guys know this. When you walk through the plant, you get the feeling. If you have known anybody that comes and you build an engine with one of our builders, you know the pride that they have. Their name's going on it. So because of these factors, and I refer to them as a symbiotic relationship between customers and the factory, we're so much better together. And this is the secret weapon that we have. We have you. And I said feedback is free. Everybody can give us feedback. And we take it. We're here. Not just us, the program team. How many places can you go? What product can you experience where you're going to get access to the likes of Taj and his whole team that come hundreds and hundreds of miles? And believe me, they got stuff to work on, and I've got stuff to work on, but we take the time, and that's what makes the difference. And you see that. How many Corvettes do we have sitting in our parking lots every day? Well, if it's rainy, not so many. But if it's not rainy, there's a lot. And we give them all preferential treatment, and we really try hard. In the end, it's difficult work. It's not easy. You know, nobody's job is easy. I say my job isn't easy. Kim, Chuck, Nick, who's over there too, others. We have tough jobs. And, but it makes it easier when you know that people love your product like they do. That was a little bit maybe more than you asked for. I stopped short of shedding a tear. That would be too dramatic, and I didn't have music to go with it. Okay, one more question, and then we'll start. Paul, you got one back there.
Thanks, Kai, for a great presentation. We all appreciate that. First and finally, I'd like to ask you, just how difficult was it to integrate the assembly of the ZR1 with the other models being assembled?
Okay, I can do that in 3 letters. Anybody want to guess what they are? Oh my God. Yeah, and
you
so,
sure it wasn't a piece of cake?
The reason I say that, we really didn't have hiccups with the introduction of the ZR1. Good plans, well executed, gives you that level of performance. But go out and look at the ZR1. Look at it next to a Stingray, a Grand Sport, or a Z06. The whole front half of the car is redone. There's double everything. There's triple everything. Everything's bigger, it's more compact, and it makes it tougher for us. The reality is that we didn't miss a beat. We didn't miss a car. We've delivered everything that we were supposed to. And so far, knock on wood, it's been a great success. And I can't stop right there. You read the magazines, you look at the track times that are being decimated by the ZR1. Okay, all we did is make a tool that will deliver the best engineered car on the planet.
If I could tell a quick story here. Last year, we got a tour of the plant, or the paint shop, that Kai was kind enough to take us through.
Special sneak.
Yeah, and I made a smart A remark about when you're going to learn to paint silver. And Kai kept Chuck from beating me senseless on the spot.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, 2 of our club members just bought Blade Silver 219s, and the silver is absolutely stunning. You see it in the sunlight with that metallic in it, beautiful.
Okay, we'll we'll end the presentation. We'll be here for a little bit. Like I said, welcome to grab a poster or two. And Chuck, if you and Kim and Nick, if you would do the honors of pulling the, let's just say the fascia shipping covers off of these panels. But these are designed to protect the panels. All right, we're going to do one thing though. We're going to take one person, and the gentleman here with the black hat, you are the lucky guy that gets to step forward and tell us if it's the right or the left panel that is from the new shop. You have won the right, because you got a black Corvette racing shirt on. So the guess was the right-hand side, and that's right. And was it really that hard?
I felt terrible.
You just got to get the light correct, and once you get the light, it's easy to see the difference. And Chuck, if you have questions about the specifics of paint, of course he can answer.
Ready to go?